Namaste, Wholeness Tribe, Ruby with Wholeness Balance. So, today's video, it is going to be around radical self-responsibility. So, where does this come from, right? It comes from being asked, what is the most impactful thing for you by far, Ruby, on your journey, your transition to being your greatest version? What would you say is the thing that has helped you the most? And for me, 100% plus, it is radical self-responsibility. That being said, it does not excuse or make you some sort of doormat to be in what is spiritually known as the observer in your own transformation. Because that's what taking radical responsibility for yourself is. Your happiness is no longer dependent on a person, place, or thing outside of you. Now, it's important to understand this is only part of the process, right? If one looks at, oh, well, if you're going to take radical responsibility, then that just excuses everybody for everything that they've ever done and everything that they continue to do and yada, yada, yada. And again, let me explain. I know that part because I'm familiar with that, because as you can see, my mind was quick to go there to explore it, but I'm in an observer position so that I can see, I witness my mind, my thoughts, my conditions that will come up subconsciously like that, play themselves out in front of me. So what I'm saying is, I understand that perspective where it's like, okay, so then if one takes full responsibility for themselves and say they're doing absolutely everything according to what radical self-responsibility is, then what responsibility does everybody else around you have to be held accountable for, right? Because God forbid we be the only ones that we need to be responsible for, right? Because, I mean, everybody else around us, which true is accurate. However, when you come to understand that when you take full responsibility for yourself and how you're showing up in your relationships, in your day-to-day, how you're showing up for you, basically, like legit, the truth of the matter, it boils down to, I teach this oneness consciousness, right? This oneness, it's divine, unconditional, infinite love, right? You can only have that for the world when you have it for yourself. This is the true wisdom, right? It's the alchemy of the philosopher's stone and woo-woo, right? The truth of the matter is, the power really truly has always been here. We have it. It just got lost in time. So all that to say, how do I achieve that? How have I transformed the most on my journey? This is just my experience, okay? Radical responsibility for self. And that is, you know, knowing how I'm showing up to love myself every day, how I'm treating myself every day, how I'm healing myself every day, knowing what my belief systems are and where they stem from. Are they mine or were they taught to me by a person, place, or thing outside of me? Do I go with the labels and the, you know, all of that stuff according to society standards, right? Why do I feel the need to find things outside of me, right? Where do I hold judgments? That is big. That is huge. And when you can really, truly be honest with yourself without judging it as good or bad, right? How you judge yourself and others. Because when you're looking at it on the outside, it's going to be how you're judging others. Oh, well, so-and-so's going through hard times and, well, shit, they put themselves there. And you know what so-and-so did, right? Again, not looking at that from a negative perspective. It's human nature. It's what we've been taught. It's things we grew up seeing. It's conditions, okay? And so it's understanding everybody's perspective. Why? Because if it were me, as everybody, I would want to be understood. I would want the opportunity to be understood for my perspectives. So, that being true for me, I reflect that back out to people. I honor people where they are. Truly, I'm open to hearing. I learn. I'm always the student. Always the student. I love being the student. And what I have learned through radical responsibility is chasing, judging, seeking anything outside of me is me not taking responsibility for how I'm showing up. And not only that, it's also like, I keep getting back to that. Spirit keeps showing me it's important to explain how there must be a lot of people that are against radical self-responsibility. Okay, I get it. That's going to automatically be a human nature trigger to be resistant, because how the fuck am I responsible for all the shit that's happened to me? Yeah, we are though, because while we are not responsible for what happens to us as children, we damn sure are responsible for healing that shit as adults. Okay? Nobody's going to come to save you and fix it for you. Nobody. Point being, nobody can heal it the way that you can. Nobody. Because nobody is you. Even though we're all connected in oneness, we can help each other, we can grow. But I'm a big believer in bringing supplies to a village and teaching them how to sustain themselves, as opposed to coming and supplying them with what they need. I see the benefit more in teaching and assisting and growing in, self, right? Self-reliance, responsibility. Because think about it, who's got you like you? Anyway, but it's not to say, oh, find just yourself and nobody else is allowed around you. It's like, no, no, no. You have to see all sides. And it's not that anybody is good nor bad. It's about understanding that taking radical self-responsibility is looking at all aspects of self, your light and your darkness. Meaning, we have attitude, we have arrogance, we have ego, right? All of us do. That's not anything to be ashamed of or shut down. Like, in my opinion, I'm literally sharing just my opinion. You can agree or not agree, and it's for you or it's not. Like, I'm not here for proving anything. I'm here for just sharing my journey, and you know what I mean? I'm not trying to follow or do anything like anybody. I'm just me. And so that is what radical self-responsibility will do. It will, and it's not that it's better or less than anybody either. It's like all that hierarchy stuff. Like, I feel that in the collective, like, oh, well, if you don't do this my way, well, then, you're judged and you're looked at. And it's like, all that separation's not necessary, because at the end of the day, people are going to do what the fuck they want to anyway. So, like, why be mad? Like, kudos, right? Like, how about we start praising and lifting each other up instead of knocking each other down for our truths? Just a little food for thought. Point being, all of that to say, everything that comes out of my mouth, regardless of what it is, it has two perspectives for me to review. It has the perspective of how it was done to me, right? Because that's the human part of us. And then, as the observer, why was this done for me, right? Because there's a lesson in everything. And the universe is always talking to you. Because how you feel about you is reflecting back to you through the people, places, and things that are outside of you. So I think Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, like, phenomenal conscious couple. Will says that he's not responsible for Jada's happiness. And that is so, so, so true. Because he can give her everything that she could possibly want, that he could think of. Money, cars, let's say bitches and hoes, like all that, right? And then it still not be ultimately what fulfills her. What I've come to understand on this radical self-responsibility is there is a genuine, truly pure place that lives inside of all of us. And when you do this inner work, this, journey in self-realization, this whole thing, right? you will come to understand your emotional state and your feelings and your spirit, your soul on a whole nother level, that it's almost like it's a radar almost, right? You start knowing what is good for you and what is not. And anytime that you're not clear on something, it's best to kind of step back, put some space between yourself and that, and observe. Observe and ask yourself those questions. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? Where does it come from? Is it really truly mine? And simply asking those questions, right? It really does help you grow in your consciousness, right? Because everything has consciousness to a certain extent, right? I mean, I do believe everything has consciousness. So, all that to say, radical self-responsibility has been the strongest tool that has come into my journey, my experience. And I look back at videos now from a long time ago, and I'm like, well, damn, yo, I knew this back then, but why does it feel so much deeper now? Like, it's because it's evolution. It's the work that I'm doing within myself, taking full responsibility for myself. It's not anybody's fault if I'm mad. It's my fault that I'm mad, and not fault. Fault's the wrong word, because that's a label, that's a judgment. There's something I'm experiencing that I'm not in alignment with my soul. And it's like, okay, this doesn't feel good. Well, why doesn't it feel good? It gives me the opportunity to stop and look at that and see if it's something that comes from a long time ago, if it comes from yesterday, if it comes from today, if it's just something that I'm just off with and my body is telling me, oh, we're not hydrated. Like truly, there's a deeper meaning and knowing once you do this process. When you take full responsibility for yourself, you come to know all thyself in those ways. It's a very fascinating journey. And it's not one anybody can do for you. Only you can do it. And you have to choose it with an open heart, because this isn't taught. This was taught in mystical schools. It was taught, very ancient times. And it's taught in communities that are very, very sacred. And it is that, the wisdom of knowing thyself. I've always been one to expand in consciousness via knowledge, right? Because that's important. It's part of the puzzle. However, for a long time in the beginning, I focused just on that. Like everything that I was absorbing through my ears, from teachers, from books, from other people's experiences, and blah, blah, blah. Like all that outside of me, which was important, which like I value, like 100% I value. Without it, I wouldn't be where I am. Truly, like go through that process. Don't deny yourself that. Because what I have learned is that I didn't need all of that. But had I not gone through it to experience it, I wouldn't know that I didn't need it, and that I would have to unlearn all of it so that I could learn to live in through my emotions, through my heart, through my spirit. So that my existence would shift from that of being just mind to running through my heart, and then connecting to my mind, and then my third eye. So again, the whole body, mind, spirit thing, right? Connecting wholly, and not as in holy in the church, but a whole being, right? Because that's what we truly are. We truly are infinite divine beings. But if we are not doing that work here within ourselves, and we're just going out to, with our red capes, and here I am to save the day, for everybody else, but we're not doing it for ourselves. I mean, come on. Come on. You're worthy. You're deserving. Tribe, truly honor yourself. Be brave enough to break these karmic cycles that are repeating from so many lifetimes. And how a karmic cycle works, I'll have to do a whole video around that, but for those of y'all that know what I'm talking about, you get it. There's stuff that we're carrying, that we're trying to clear, and it's all in here. It's not in the person next to you. It's not in the damn house you live in. It's not in the ground you sit on. I mean, go into nature. Yes, go into nature. That is your cure. Like, truly reconnect with what's natural, right? With what's natural. What if you don't know what natural is? Then start to eliminate everything that is not. You get me? So this journey is not for the weak. And I honor every single one of you who is brave enough to walk it. Because until you've experienced this, trust me, you have no idea. You can throw your ideas and your opinions and all of that is judgment. And that's great. It's welcome because it's here as either a projection or a reflection for everybody involved, okay? No wrong, no right. Everything just is. So if you can practice learning to be what is and taking radical responsibility for yourself. That person didn't just come up and bitch me out because I was just standing here doing nothing. What was it that I was thinking? What was it that I was feeling? What have I been going through today that's caused me to manifest somebody to come in? Where have I been knowing on the inside, yelling at myself like, stop taking that shit, stop doing that shit, right? Where I'm ignoring it, that I literally had to manifest it in my reality through a mirror, through a person, to come and show me how I'm really, truly cheating myself on the inside. Right? Radical responsibility for self is powerful beyond your comprehension because we haven't been taught it for many, 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 many lifetimes. It's been lost. It's nobody's fault that we don't know. There's no fault. There's just what is. And there's divine time. And everything comes in divine time. Nothing is coincidence. Everything is divine. So, with that said, my message today is based around radical self-responsibility and how it has transformed my life and is the core tool for myself. And there's many names to it. For me, I'm explaining it in my words, through my version, through my unedited, unfiltered channel, right? Because I am, and as are you. I send you all love, light, wholeness. Namaste.